right, we want to take you straight to Belgium, where the Belgian prosecutor is holding a news conference now regarding recent arrests in that country. Let's go ahead and listen in.
This afternoon, Mohamed Abrini was also arrested at Anderlecht at Place Albert Square. At the same time, there were two other people that were arrested, and his digital prints and his DNA were identified in various areas on Rue Henri Berger at Schaerbeek, and also in a Renault Clio car which was used during the Paris attacks. Mohamed Abrini was already the object of a search warrant, as you know, in the case relating to Paris, the 13th of November 2015 attacks. He was also seen with Salah Abdeslam on the 11th of November towards 7 o'clock in the garage in Resson on the motorway going towards Paris. Moreover, it has come out with regard to the inquiry with Paris that Salah Abdeslam and Abrini hired a room just before the attacks, and in that flat that they rented there were a number of suicide bombers that also joined them just before the Paris attacks. Finally, the inquiry is still underway so as to be able to see whether Mohamed Abrini is or not the third person who was present at the attacks of Brussels International Airport, in other words, the man in the hat. And this inquiry is still underway very actively to try to clarify all these points, and in the interest of inquiry at this stage, they're not able to give you more details. More details will follow, probably from tomorrow.
Good evening. In het kader van het onderzoek na de aanslagen van 22 maart 2016 op de luchthaven Brussel Nationaal te Zaventem en het metrostation Maalbeek te Brussel, werd deze morgen de genaamde Osama K. alias Naim Al-Ahmed gearresteerd, samen met Hervé.
During this briefing in Flemish, we'll bring in our correspondent Mark Stone, although pretty much what the Belgian prosecutor had to say there, Mark, confirms what you've been reporting.
All right, so we've been listening in there as authorities in Belgium describe this latest arrest. Mohamed Abrini, you heard the Belgian prosecutor there outline that Abrini was seen with Salah Abdeslam on November 11th of last year. That's just days before the November 13th Paris attacks. Now, what we also heard the Belgian prosecutors say is that they were working to find out whether, in fact, Abrini was also the person that they're calling the man in the hat. That is, again, the person who was seen on closed-circuit television at the Brussels airport. This is the video that was released on Thursday in an effort by authorities to help identify and figure out where exactly this individual was located. But the person that has been arrested now, Mohamed Abrini, again, we heard the Belgian prosecutors say they are not sure if that is exactly the same person, the man in the hat, believed to be the third person sought in the Brussels airport bombing. But again, an interesting bit of information that we didn't know before about the fact, as the prosecutor said, that Abrini was actually spotted with Salah Abdeslam on November 11th of last year. As you recall, the Paris terror attacks happened on Friday, November 13th of last year. And now this information coming out that Abrini was in fact with Abdeslam, was seen with Abdeslam. Now, what we also know from our own Charlie D'Agata is that authorities are interested in learning whether or not Abrini himself had traveled to Syria. There is a belief on the part of authorities, according to Charlie, that Abrini's brother actually traveled to Syria. Let's go now to our Elaine Cobbe, who is joining us by phone from Paris. Elaine, you've been listening in to this news conference as well. What can you tell us?
Well, Elaine, the prosecutor in Belgium said that 5 people were arrested altogether today, and as you said, he confirmed Mohamed Abrini was one of them. This is a man who was linked to the bombers who attacked Paris in November, and he was not in Paris that night. He was seen in Brussels, but he had been seen 2 days before with Salah Abdeslam in a car that was used in the attacks. And this now confirms once again the strong ties between the bombers involved in the attacks in Paris and in Brussels just last month. Now, they also found another man, Osama K, who was also linked to Abdeslam, and they are trying to determine if he was the second subway bomber in Brussels. They're also trying to determine if Mohamed Abrini was indeed the man in the hat, as he's known, the third bomber from the airport.
And what do we know about this other person, Osama K, that you mentioned? Do we have any information at all?
We don't have a lot of information about him. He was seen with Khaled al-Bakrawi at the Malbec metro station during the attacks. It's believed he was the second bomber, the man there who left the metro, who had an identical backpack to Khaled al-Bakrawi. He's believed to have crossed into Europe, from Syria just a couple of years ago. Now, originally, we were told his name that was originally given by police was Naim al-Hamed. He was identified as a 28-year-old Syrian, and police said he was armed and likely dangerous, and they had already tied him to the Paris attackers. Now, the prosecutor didn't specifically say that this is the same person, but that's what we believe, that they simply now have a name for him.
And Elaine, what do we know about Mohamed Abrini, and do we know anything about his travels? Because I know in speaking with Charlie D'Agata earlier, he had mentioned that Abrini's brother apparently had traveled to Syria.
Yes. Mohamed Abrini was born in Belgium in 1984. He had an extensive criminal record, like many of those who ended up with ISIS and in jihadi circles. He had been known for theft, drug trafficking, and other non-terror crimes. Now, he's suspected of having gone to Syria for a short time in June 2015, but that's not clear. His younger brother did go to Syria in 2014. He was killed there, and he was part of the group that also included Abdelhamid Aboud, the man who was one of the mastermind behind the attacks in Paris. So Abrini was filmed on November 11 in a car with Salah Abdeslam, the alleged 10th bomber for Paris, and that car was later used in the Paris attacks. He was last seen in a bar in Molenbeek in Brussels on the evening of November 13th. So, as I said, police don't think he was actually part of, an integral part of the Paris bombs, but was part of the planning. And they put out a wanted notice for him and the European arrest warrant in November. So he's been on Europe's most wanted list for quite some time now.
All right. Our Elaine Cobbe reporting from Paris for us. Elaine, thank you so much.
You're welcome.